This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you here today with a report on this disastrous Ohio train derailment situation. We're now finding out that the Ohio freight train was already on fire for 20 miles before it derailed. The Norfolk Southern train passed a defect detector at 103 degrees above the ambient temperatures without stopping. As we see here earlier this month, a Norfolk Southern train carrying dangerous chemicals derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. The surrounding area could be contaminated for years by toxic chemicals intentionally released from damaged train cars by the railroad company. The National Transportation Safety Board has released a preliminary report with findings that the crew might have ignored warning signs of a potential disaster as they adhere to company policies. Not looking good, guys. And now we see that residents near Ohio train derailment had been diagnosed with ailments associated with chemical exposure, including bronchitis. We're also seeing that tens of thousands of animals have died for miles around this toxic spill. The estimated animal death toll from Ohio train derailment now tops 43,700 animals dead, as a time frame for environmental recovery remains uncertain, officials say. And now we've got people who are living near the Ohio train derailment who are going to have to watch their health for years to come. And they didn't even know, but some Ohio train derailment toxic materials were sent to Wayne County for disposal. And they're not the only ones, guys. Texas as well. And Michigan officials say they didn't know that water and soil from the Ohio train wreck would be transported into their jurisdictions. Obviously, this is of a grave concern when you consider that over 40,000 animals have just died, and people who are living near this disaster are already being diagnosed with things like acute bronchitis due to chemical fumes. So this is of the utmost importance that we get this information out there, guys. We're going to talk about all of this and much more in this video. But really quickly, before we do, I want to show you this Go Get funding campaign that I started yesterday. Help get PFT up and running. In case you didn't know, when I recently returned from my trip to speak at a conference in Acapulco, Mexico, I got home to find out my laptop is fried. It's dead. I'm currently using my wife's laptop here to just do some basic editing and trying to get these types of screen grab videos going. It's been a bit of a struggle with this whole thing. I do have a new one already on the way. It is in the mail, and I want to thank everybody so much who has contributed. 19 people so far have contributed. I'm trying to raise the price of the computer, which is $4,200, and I'm already up to almost that, $3,200. Thank you so much to everybody who has contributed. We got some big donors like this one here, Kathy, who contributed $2,000. Thank you so much for your very generous contribution to help me get back up and running. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is something that you would like to contribute to as well, please check the link in the description below. All right, guys, I want to start with this story that's been making some headlines. 5 people have been killed in an Arkansas plane crash while they were en route to a scene of a fatal explosion at an Ohio factory. 5 people who worked for an environmental response consulting firm were killed in a plane crash on Wednesday in Little Rock, Arkansas, while they were on their way to a metal factory explosion site in Ohio. The plane was carrying employees of the Center for Toxicology and Environmental Health when it took off from the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock around noon Wednesday, according to the firm and the Federal Aviation Administration. The employees were headed to the John Glenn Columbus International Airport in Ohio to respond to a fatal explosion at a metal factory. This is the situation that they were dealing with. 1 person dead after Monday explosion at fire at Ohio metal factory. So this isn't exactly related to the train derailment. These people were on their way to a separate disaster. But nonetheless, it's something that's I'm going to continue to pay attention to because it's interesting that we're seeing all these things happening almost simultaneously here in Ohio. And something else that is important to To pay attention to as well is this. The Ohio freight train was already on fire for 20 minutes before it derailed. The report detailed the incident moment by moment leading up to the derailment. The agency put a particular focus on the 1.76 mile long train in question, train 32N, passing 3 wayside defect detectors, or hot bearing detectors, during its highly destructive trip. The detectors measured the temperature of axle bearings on each passing train car, the preliminary report states. The Norfolk Southern crew stopped the train after passing the 3rd hot bearing detector. This was the point when the crew observed the fire and notified the dispatcher of a possible derailment. But why did it take for it to go past 3 of these things before it reached that crucial threshold of 20 whole miles that this continued? So I think it's fair to say this is an epic failure of major proportions. They certainly could have stopped this. And that's important to note when you consider that people are now getting very, very sick from this. Residents and workers near the site where the train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed this month have been diagnosed with bronchitis and other conditions that doctors and nurses suspect are linked to chemical exposure. Melissa Blake, who lives within the mile of the crash site in East Palestine, Ohio, said that she started coughing up gray mucus and was struggling to breathe on February 5th, just 2 days after this train derailed. That day, she evacuated her home and also went to the emergency room. She was diagnosed with acute bronchitis due to chemical fumes, according to medical records. They gave me a breathing machine. They put me on oxygen. They gave me 3 types of steroids, Blake said, and she has yet to move back to her home, being discharged nearly 3 weeks ago. At Ceramfab, a manufacturing company adjacent to the derailment site, 5 of its 10 workers were too sick to work. According to the general manager, he said the company suspended operations for about a week because the derailment and subsequent release of vinyl chloride, a carcinogenic chemical, on board the train that was intentionally burned to avoid the risk of explosion. His employees resumed work on the 13th, he said, but this is after about 2 days they started dropping like flies. Guys, this isn't good. They ended up with rashes, nausea, vomiting, bloody nose, eye issues, a lot of coughing and wheezing, he said. He sent a lot of their workers to the hospital to get checked out, and sure enough, in most cases, it was a diagnosis of chemical bronchitis. Again, this is a failure of epic proportions. People are getting sick. Tens of thousands of animals are dying, as we see here as well. The latest estimates are over 43,000 animals are dead. Last week, officials said that they believe the Ohio train derailment had killed around 3,500 aquatic animals. On Thursday, they provided a new estimate, pushing the total to more than 43,700 animals within just a 5-mile area, guys. Mary Mertz, director of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, said on Thursday that the new estimate comes amid updated calculations. And how much worse is this going to continue to get? You know, like this one says, people are going to have to watch their health for years now moving forward. But it's not just the people of Ohio. They've already shipped these toxic materials to Wayne County for disposal. And as we see here, Texas as well was unaware that they were going to be doing this. Officials in Texas and Michigan are complaining that they didn't receive any warning that contaminated water and soil from the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, would be shipped into their jurisdictions for disposal. About 2 million gallons of firefighting water from the train derailment site are expected to be disposed in Harris County, Texas, with about 500,000 gallons already there, according to the county's chief executive. It's a very real problem, he says. We were told yesterday that the materials were coming, only to learn today that they've already been here for a week. This is just absolutely insane, guys. Contaminated soil from the derailment site is being taken to the U.S. Ecology Waste Disposal in Belleville, Michigan, as well. Representative Debbie said on Friday, we were not given a heads up, on this reported action. She said, our priority is always to keep people that we represent safe. And none of them were warned, not only that this stuff is making its way to where they are, but even worse, it's already there, guys. And if this isn't another, more proof of why the governments can't be trusted, the fact that this looks like it easily could have, not easily, but it certainly could have been prevented a lot sooner than it happened, it's just wild, guys, that that in this day and age we can still deal with things like this. This is why we really need to move towards kind of sort of out of the box thinking when it comes to any kind of reliance on the government in any kind of way, shape, or form whatsoever. And I think some of the things that we're clearly going to need to focus on moving forward is being able to survive on your own in the midst of something like this by growing your own organic food at home, not being reliant on having to go to the government food lines or to even the grocery stores for that matter. Because as we've seen through this massive, epic failure, they simply cannot be trusted to first of all tell you what's truly going on in a timely manner, but also to ensure that you're going to be safe and healthy. As we see, they're shipping this stuff off into other jurisdictions that aren't even aware that they have to deal with this, toxic overload of toxicity being dumped onto them. It's just absolutely insane, guys. But this is, again, why we need to focus on not being reliant on them for anything, even food, for that matter. If you're not yet to this stage, that's okay. As long as you're actively working on getting towards this position, you're going to fare far more better than the rest, guys. So this is just something I wanted to touch on. Obviously, this happened weeks ago, and I'm just now having a chance to dive in head first. And from what I can see here, it's not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. It's not looking good. The numbers continue to grow. It's in terms of the animals we're seeing dead. Residents are now being diagnosed with things like bronchitis due to chemical exposure. Again, these guys simply cannot be trusted moving forward. Do not put any of your faith, hope, trust in the system whatsoever, because the system isn't broken, ladies and gentlemen. The system is entirely fixed, and that's why we need to be 100% self-sustainable moving forward, and that may require a little bit of out-of-the-box thinking, but if you're not doing that yet, you're falling behind. Just wanted to bring all of this to your attention today, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to help me get back up and running with a computer that can handle exporting, multiple HD files, please check out the links in the description below to find out how you can help my efforts to get back on track here at Press for Truth. And that's all for today, guys. My computer arrives in early March, so I have another week of trying to do the best I can with what I currently have. So again, if you want to support my efforts, please check the first link in the description below. That's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.